Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that she is an a-hole? My female 32 best childhood friend, 32, just became a lawyer and then dumped her boyfriend. A best friend and I grew up in poverty, and we had not much opportunities for an education. For young women in our area, our options were retail, substance dealing, selling our bodies, or hoping a rich guy would notice us. For guys, it was retail, substance dealing, or finding one of the few factory jobs remaining. I got lucky, managed to date a med student. He helped open doors for me, and I have become a teacher in a school in a lower socioeconomic area to provide those opportunities. My husband is now a doctor. My friend tried that option but was not as lucky. She was working minimum wage retail at age 25. While doing so, she got friendly with a factory worker, male 30, who came by regularly and they started dating. He knew he was not the academic type. School was not for him. But he also saw potential in my friend and encouraged her to go to school. She had dreams of becoming a criminal prosecutor and encouraged her to not give up. He took out whatever loan he could find so that she could get an education. He supported her through and through, did housework, worked extra shifts, everything so she could get an education. My friend persevered, graduated, and became a lawyer. Shortly after, she broke up with her boyfriend, just as he planned on proposing to her. She said that as a professional, she had no interest being married to a working-class man, and that she deserves a real man. I was horrified and told her that she's betraying a man who has supported her through all this. It made her what she is. She got mad and said that it is not a woman's job to pay the bills, and that I am a hypocrite because my husband makes a lot more than me. She further said that the idea of marriage as a life partnership is a patriarchal construct, that she has the right to date whomever she wants, and that as a feminist I should be supporting her. I told her that she is not only a major a-hole, she is giving the movement a bad name because it means women financially supporting their male partners as much as in the reverse. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She used him. This has nothing to do with the movement. She took his love, his graciousness, and led him to believe they had a future together, while bleeding him dry. She is a vampire. She does not have the requisite morality to be considered for your friendship, because you're a good person, and she's not. The good news is, she does have the requisite morality to be a lawyer. In other words, none. I disagree. I'm going to law school right now, and one of the big things that is emphasized is ethics and morality. I am horrified she's going to be a lawyer. Sadly, I think this is one of those areas of difference between theory and reality. If you think lawyers are all paragons of morality, you might have some harsh realizations in your future. Not an a-hole because you were right. That was an a-hole move on her part. The idea of a real man only being a breadwinner is very much not feminist. She's using the movement as a way to try to make her defenses seem untouchable, because then she can proclaim you aren't one and shut you down, when her behavior has nothing to do with the movement. Dumping him because she wants to ladder climb is extremely classist and cold-hearted. It really sounds like she just used him for his money, rather than actually enjoying the relationship or caring for him. Very sad that she felt it necessary to manipulate someone to survive, and even sadder for her poor ex being used like that. I'm just gonna say this to Opie. I pray stop being friends with her. She spent years with this man, took his money, love, support, used it, and tossed him aside when she was done. If she can do that to him, she can and most likely will do it to you. Also, this is a reach on my part, but keep a close eye on her behavior near your husband. It sounds like he's in her preferred tax bracket. Not stay home. Your ex-friend is a super witch and a user. I'd reach out and stay friends with her poor ex, and tell him he dodged an entitled a-hole bullet. I hope he finds a partner who actually loves him, though I guess he'll have trust issues for some time to come. Yeah, not sure how to help him. All you can do is let him know you are on his side and check in on him. Invite him to hang out with you and your husband/friend group, etc. You won't be able to fix this, but those things are still important. Next story. Am I the a-hole for being upset that my fiancé spent all of the money for my wedding dress and our future house? My fiancé, 27 male, and I, 25 female, are getting married soon. The wedding is in 2 months and we still have to get a wedding dress, and we're planning on moving into a house shortly after getting married. 2 weeks ago, my fiancé had his bachelor party. I come from a fairly wealthy family, so recently we received a generous monetary gift from my parents to go towards the wedding, and as an early wedding gift for any extra that we didn't spend. My fiancé and 10 of his friends went to Vegas for the party, but my fiancé and I had agreed on a $1,000 limit, not including hotel and plane fees. The day after the party, I received a call from the bank and found out that my fiancé spent the entire gift from my parents on gambling and lost all of it. This was disappointing because he has struggled with a gambling addiction in the past, but has been doing really good the past couple years. We had an argument about this when he got home, and he has been really upset with me because he says I should understand that he was struggling, and this will always be a temptation for him. I have no idea how we're going to pay for the wedding dress I'm supposed to get, much less contribute to the house, and I honestly have no idea what to do right now. He thinks I should just get a cheaper wedding dress, but I don't think I should have to because this is his fault, not mine. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but you need to screech brakes on the wedding. Gambling addict who still gambles? Absolutely do not tie yourself financially to this man. The fact that he blames you and saying you should understand that all of this would be a struggle for him? Unacceptable. Who on earth decided that a gambling addict should go to Vegas for a stag? And that's before you even get onto him being an a-hole for using up the wedding budget for something for him. Do not marry this man. This. Not the a-hole, but you need to reevaluate this whole thing. He clearly has an issue and a boundary issue as well. Why would he have access to money like that? Do you have a prenup? Have you discussed separate finances for everything? You cannot seriously marry him without protecting yourself and your family. It would be a huge mistake. What kind of crazy person is willing to marry a man who has told her up front that his gambling addiction will always come before her and their future? He has given her all the information she needs to call the whole thing off immediately. What is up with her hesitation? Why does she need internet strangers to point out she needs to reevaluate? Either this is fake, or Opie's a complete fool. And you know what they say about fools and their money. Why the heck would he choose Vegas when he has a gambling problem? Red flags. Freaking run. This. If he has been struggling, he shouldn't have gone to a gambling city. Not a home. But if I were you, I would be buying a dress. I'd be rethinking the relationship. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The main sticking point is the dress? Like not the gambling addiction relapse or even the money for the house? Exactly. The last thought would be the dress and wedding. Addiction is unfortunately a battle for the rest of your life, and your significant other getting a trip to Las Vegas with his friends makes me think neither of you, him, you, and his friends, are truly realizing how bad the situation truly is. Your significant other needs professional help ASAP before this addiction costs you all of your savings and a relationship. You're the a-hole for still going with the wedding. Red flags. He is not taking responsibility for what he did. You're going to screw yourself if you marry that dude. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for enforcing my house rules on my wife's brother? My male 30 brother-in-law, male 20 Sean, moved in with me and his sister after my father-in-law passed away a few months ago. He is the private type and keeps to himself. He goes out and never say where he's going or how long he'll be out. Eats at random times during the day. Wears AirPods while me and the kids are sitting with him. See, all of these are uncool behaviors and a bad influence on my children. I've already talked to Sean about certain house rules I have, and how he was violating them maybe because he didn't know. But now he knows and still nothing's changed. Last night he came home late at around 10 p.m. I wasn't thrilled with that because he knew the rules, but he said that he was an adult and I shouldn't be policing him. But it's not about that. It's about the fact that he's repeatedly disrespected the homeowner and rules. So I told him this. If you won't respect the rules, which are being home at 8, not eating at random times, and not using his electronics just like my kids aren't allowed when the family's gathered to spend time together. He ranted about how he was a child, my child, and called me unreasonable to treat him this way just because he lives under my roof. I told him it's not hard to show respect, really. But my wife went off asking what was wrong with me to be giving Sean, who's still grieving, ultimatums and treating him like a child. I explained to her that I'm just making sure the kids won't be influenced by her brother's reckless behavior. And she laughed, asking if I think Sean being on his phone was reckless. But that is besides the point. She called me a control freak and told me to get off her brother's back and leave him alone. I replied that she's just saying this because he's her brother, but she said I overstepped and should back off and stop trying to control her adult brother. I asked her if she was happy with him coming home late, and she said she was sick of arguing, then went upstairs. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Your wife is right. Why on earth should a 20-year-old have a curfew and have his eating time policed? Also, you made a unilateral decision about your wife's brother without even consulting your wife? You sound already like an overbearing parent, and this is towards an adult who isn't your kid. I feel horrible for your wife and kids. He is definitely the a-hole. The fact that he's treating his brother-in-law like he's one of his kids is ridiculous. And I very much agree with his wife 100%. Those children must fear this man. He is policing everything about their life. There is a difference between parenting and policing. What Opie is doing is going to lead a lot of anxiety and resentment on his children's part. Also, this will likely negatively impact his marriage. How will his wife feel when she knows she failed her brother when he needed her the most, and to know that it was because of her stubborn husband? Opie, you really need to reevaluate your views on parenting and as a partner, or it will likely come back and bite you in the butt in 10, maybe 20 years. Divorce or fractured marriage and alienated children will be likely in your future if you do not reevaluate and improve as a person. Try this parenting tactic. Hey kids, if you're wondering why Sean doesn't have to obey the rules that you do, it's because he's an adult and not my child. When you are an adult, you will get to come home later than 8 p.m. too. You're the a-hole. Yeah, how hard is it to explain that there are different standards for a grown man than there are for an elementary school-age kid? You're the a-hole. Giving an adult a curfew of 8 is insane, as is trying to dictate what he eats. Wearing AirPods at a table is rude, but I completely understand why he would want to tune you out, so he gets a pass on that. Why are you trying to parent a fully grown adult? I wouldn't call this parenting. 100% chance, this man also controls his children in unreasonable ways under the guise of respect. Last story. Am I the a-hole telling my sister that my fiancé has every right to hate her and my mom? I've been with my fiancé for nearly 6 years and we live together and we are happier than ever. My sister and my fiancé get along fairly well when they're in each other's presence, but my fiancé hates my sister and my mom as well, and I think her reasons are valid. My sister would always try to set me up with friends of hers, sisters of her friends or girls and women she was friendly with and liked. She didn't know my fiancé before I introduced her to my family, and when I spoke of dating my fiancé in the early stages, my sister was trying to convince me she was not a right fit for me. She hadn't even met her. My sister also tried to set me up with my ex-girl best friend. My girl best friend took advantage of that and tried to break off my relationship with my fiancé, but I cut her off immediately, which led to my sister calling me sensitive. Due to my sister's behavior, which makes my fiancé uncomfortable, they barely meet. Even when they do, my fiancé always try to be kind and keep a balance, but my sister will randomly bring up all the women she tried to set me up with, but failed because, well, he chose you instead of my friend and things like that. Another reason my fiancé hates my sister and my mom is because they're very nosy and controlling. They act jealous over my relationship to my fiancé. They always try to compete with her and guilt trip me if I show that I put my fiancé first. My mom is always throwing tantrums about how I'm replacing her with my fiancé, and how a mother should be the first priority in her kid's life, and that my fiancé could abandon me anytime. My sister also sides with my mom on this and claims my biological family, parents and siblings, come before anyone else, even my future wife. Due to some recent conflicts related to the issues mentioned above, my fiancé has chosen to keep her distance from my family for the sake of her mental health. My mom and sister ask why is that, and why my fiancé acts like she hates them, and that she's being ridiculous and unreasonable. I pointed out to my sister and my mom that my fiancé has the most valid reasons to dislike and hate them, because they've always provoked her, and try to compete with her while also trying to be controlling of our lives. Knowing my mom and sister, they immediately told my whole family. Now, several family members are calling me and my fiancé a-holes for treating my family like that, and how I'm an a-hole for justifying my fiancé's hatred towards my mom and sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Having had a nightmare ex-mother-in-law and sister-in-law in the past, you're doing wonderfully for standing up for your fiancé, who is being so unfairly treated. they are also treating you poorly by how they treat someone you love. Your mother and sister are horrid. I've known how horrid they are firsthand before I even got with my fiancé. I had taught myself to ignore their tactics, but watching them trying to actively hurt people that I love is crossing the line. You need to spend as little time around them as possible and block these other family members. If you knew they were toxic, why didn't you manage the relationships with your other family better? You knew your mom and sister were hella toxic and didn't manage/enlist/tell the rest of your family what was going on. You have not allowed your mother/sister to create the wrong narrative with the extended family. You're the a-hole for 1, not shutting your mom and sister down early, 2, subjecting your fiancé to their abuse, 3, not preemptively warning your extended family before your fiancé even wants low contact/no contact, 4, for throwing your fiancé under the bus by expressing how she feels after you allowed your family to abuse her, 5, for not putting your mother in her place. She didn't suddenly start expressing she could outrank even a wife. She's always expressed that. You probably thought it was funny. Now it's biting you in the butt. Am I the a-hole for wanting to meet my daughter after giving up my parental rights? Plus update. Original post. Long story short, in my 40 female 20s, I had a one-night stand with this guy, Nathan, now 41 male, and got pregnant. I first thought of terminating, but Nathan had come from a conservative religious background, not Christian, and wanted a baby. So we made a deal. I would give birth to the child and sign away my parental rights, and my name is not even in her birth certificate as is possible in my country, and he would pay all the medical expenses plus some extra for my troubles. And that's what we did. I didn't keep contact after his daughter was born. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine who has the same religion as Nathan sent me a post from her temple's youth group. They were asking for donations for the homeless, and one of the girls from the picture looked a lot like me. I searched for her profile and found out that she had Nathan's surname and had the right age to be the baby I gave away. She's 17 now and seems to be doing fine. She's involved in charity work, apparently loves music, and has lots of pictures with friends and family. Nathan, his wife, and half-siblings. I never wanted nor want to be a mother, but I became curious to know more about this human I put in the world. So I texted Nathan's old phone number, which he has not changed, and asked if he would allow me to meet his daughter, since I gave birth to her and everything. It made my intentions clear, that I do not want to interfere with his family, just to know her. He then wrote a long text, which comes down to saying that I'm an a-hole for wanting to know his daughter now after I abandoned her, and that this meeting would only mess with her head. I told him I was telling him out of courtesy, because soon the girl will be an adult and be able to choose herself if she wants to meet me. He then blocked me. Am I being the a-hole here? I don't think there's any harm in meeting my daughter. She already has a great family, and it would only be beneficial to her to know about her own history. But maybe I am not seeing the full picture. Now for the top comments before reading the update. So you didn't want her then, you don't want her now, but you're curious to see how she turned out? You're the a-hole. You have no desire to be in her life, but want to meet her. Do you not think that would be upsetting to meet the woman who gave you away and learn she still doesn't care about you? Leave her alone. The loveless curiosity is what makes Opie the a-hole. No thought to how disruptive her presence will be. Agreed times 10 million. She wants nothing to do with this child. She just wants to talk her out of curiosity. How horrifying would it be for the person who birthed you to come out of nowhere and when asked why they say just curious, only to once again disappear into the night? Her dad is right. She's just doing this to mess with her head. It's so selfish. Honestly, I think you're the a-hole. You decided not to be in your child's life. It is not fair for you to now force yourself back into it because you want to. A more appropriate course of action would have been to reach out to provide current contact information and let him know that if she was ever interested in getting to know you, that's something you are open to. It should be her choice, not yours. Actually, I like the idea. I don't want to force myself in her life, just to know how she turned out, and maybe she has some questions for me. But you are right, it should be her choice. Just be aware that you have absolutely no right to have any opinions about how she's turned out. And be careful not to express any disappointment in her choices or involvement in her religion. As long as she's happy and healthy, that's all you can have concern for, as far as how she's turned out. It's great you want to know how it's going with her, but be careful and be sure to keep your opinions to yourself. Now for the update. Hi everyone. First of all, thank you for your judgment. Some of you were pretty harsh and a bit misogynistic, to be honest, but I needed to hear what the well-intentioned comments had to say. Some answers to common assumptions. 1. I wasn't coerced into giving birth. Nathan and I reached an agreement in a situation that involved us both. I'll admit that I was young, didn't know what pregnancy was really like, and needed the money, which I'm not proud of, but hey, y'all are gonna judge me anyway. 2. I didn't want to reach out to Nathan's daughter just because she looks like me. I only mentioned it because this is what made me realize that the girl in the picture was the child I gave birth to, but it blew out of proportion. 3. I don't know why some people assumed Nathan is Christian, and why they were judging him for being religious. He is Jewish and I'm agnostic myself, but don't think it's a problem for him to have a strong bond with his religion. The one-night stand happened when we were very young, and I don't know what his views are about that, but it doesn't matter. His daughter apparently is very attached to their community, and it's important to her. Also, I might have used the word temple wrong, but I'm not Jewish myself. 4. When I said I don't want to be a mother, I didn't mean I didn't want a relationship with Nathan's daughter. I am not her mother, since I didn't raise and don't want to take this place from the person who truly did, his wife. I also chose not to have children of my own. So after reading their comments, I came to a better understanding of what my role is in this situation and decided to reach out to his wife through social media to try to make amends. She was very understanding and explained to me that Nathan had a couple of tough years being a single dad before meeting her, and me coming back like that made it seem, as some of you pointed out, that I wanted to skip the hard parts and become a parent out of nowhere, which was never my intention. They told their daughter that her birth mother had to go back to her home country and couldn't take care of her, which was kind. The wife is going to talk to Nathan to leave the door open if their daughter wants to meet me when she's older. And I gave her all my contact information for when and if the time comes. I'll admit I was being a bit selfish here, so that is the best thing I could hope for. Thank you again. It's a tough one, because I understand changing your mind and wanting to know your child. But the father is right that this could create a lot of issues for the daughter. Considering OP1 didn't even know what they told the girl about her birth mother. Did she even know her father's wife wasn't her birth mother? And 2, the fact OP basically threatened the father to contact her daughter when she was a legal adult suggests OP was never worried about her daughter and was just focused on her own selfish needs/wants. I'm an adoptive mom, and all the training tells us this has to be the kid's decision. Some don't care, some care deeply. This kid is 17. It should be her choice. I think it's important that she didn't reach out to the girl, but instead contacted the girl's father. When that wasn't the result she wanted, she reached out to the girl's mother. Instead of being demanding, OP just passed along the intention for contact and contact info for if/when she wanted to reach out to her bio mom. Feels like OP was being kind of selfish at first. Maybe still is. Not that she needed to be a mother figure, but that she's ready to spring into this person's life without considering the consequences of that. True, info about potential health history and perhaps limited extended family could be helpful. But if the daughter hasn't expressed interest, feels kind of self-serving and icky, like she thinks she has any kind of right to know this person. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my husband move his father into our home? My husband's 40 male mom passed away late last year. It was very hard on him and his father. The holidays were rough. My husband is still struggling, and I've been doing my best to be kind, supportive, and understanding. But he's been less attentive with our 3 kids, 14 female, 12 male, and 9 male. And I'm pretty sure he's struggling at work too, but he won't admit it. He started therapy about a month ago and is going once a week. A couple weeks ago, he brought up to me that he wants to move his dad, 75 male, into our house. He said that his dad is struggling too, and that being in the house he shared with his wife the past 50 years isn't doing him any good. He had an entire plan laid out, so it was obvious to me that he's been planning this for a while, without talking to me about it. He wants to move his dad into the room that we had just moved our middle child into last summer. Before that, our 2 youngest were sharing a room, so we did some renovations to make an extra bedroom so all our kids could have their own space. He wants to force our two youngest to share a room again so his dad can move in. He also wants to talk to his dad about putting their house on the market, or possibly renting it out, which means father-in-law would be here long term. After he laid out his plan, he asked me what I thought, and I told him my immediate reaction is no. I told him that barely any time has passed since his mom's death, and it's too soon to make such drastic changes in everyone's lives. I told him his dad will get better with time, and we all just need to take a step back and not rush into any decisions. He was not happy with my response and kept asking for specific reasons other than not enough time has passed. I suggested that we look into different housing options for his dad if he's uncomfortable in his home, which I get. His dad has enough money saved to afford a good retirement home or a smaller condo which would allow everyone to still have their own space. He didn't like that idea either because it would mean his dad is still living alone. I'll admit, there are reasons I didn't tell him. Seeing my husband deal with his grief has been hard, especially since it's affecting his ability to be present with me and the kids. So I really don't want a second grieving man in our house. I also don't really want to kick our middle child out of the room that we just made specifically for them. That isn't fair to them. But I know if I tell my husband this, he's going to think I'm being selfish. And maybe I am. Father-in-law currently lives about 3 hours away, so visiting him is difficult. We also live in a pretty rural area, and the nearest town with respectable retirement homes is over an hour away. So even that option isn't ideally close, but it's still closer. I know it sounds selfish, but I just don't think I could handle 2 grieving men in my home. I can barely handle 1 right now. Now for the comments. I cannot believe anyone is saying you're the a-hole to not wanting your father-in-law to move in permanently. We don't even know he would want that. Living with someone, never mind pushing your kids back into sharing a room indefinitely, is a big deal. Hard not the a-hole. I think you all having a discussion about him selling up and buying a smaller place nearby is a better option. Maybe look into a tiny home or trailer for him to put on the property. Since you're rural, his own space but right there. Plus, if you don't flood, it could be a step or 2 and then it'll be 1 story. Perfect for elderly. I completely agree with you, not the a-hole. A compromise needs to be had here. No, I respectfully disagree. This seems like it could be a solution at face value, but this is really unrealistic. He might sleep in the tiny house, but he will for sure spend his waking hours in Opie's home, and this proposed situation would invite a permanence to his residency there. This is totally unfair to Opie. We agree in judgment, not the a-hole, but this is not a true compromise. Because while the kids won't have to share a room, Opie is clear that her primary reason for saying no to father-in-law coming is because she can't handle the responsibility for having an additional adult, who is also racked with grief permanently in her space, which is a reasonable position to take. Getting father-in-law into a retirement community with other seniors, many of whom are often widowed themselves, seems like a far better solution for everyone, especially father-in-law. These types of communities can be very beneficial for older folk, who can be independent but also need active engagement with others. Since finances don't seem to be a major factor, any additional support with meals, housekeeping, laundry, etc. can easily be had. Let's hope they can do something like this. An hour away isn't terribly far. Dedicating frequent scheduled visits will still be far less time and effort than having an additional adult to care for every day, and could actually be far better to father-in-law, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It's not selfish to want your soon-to-be teen son to have his own room. Find an apartment near your home. Move dad there. Have him over to visit a few times a week. There are plenty of ways to solve this that don't involve packing your house full of people and appending your family life. This is the answer. Move dad closer, but it should be a 1-level apartment with a cleaner coming once a week. Opie is already dealing with a lot. Handling 3 kids and a struggling husband is no small feat. Given my experience with older boomer men, I am guessing that the workload of having him there will fall on Opie too. Extra laundry, cleaning, and another mouth to feed. Not the a-hole. The house belongs to you too, and it is the boys' home. It's definitely not fair to the kids to give away their space and make them share a bathroom with an old man, even if he is their grandfather, without their input. My father-in-law died 2.5 years ago, and my mother-in-law spent about 5 to 6 months of that time visiting us in our house. She sold the house she bought in 2021 and is with us again temporarily. It's not easy. It has nothing to do with grief. And we are empty nesters with a spare bedroom. Mother-in-law has an offer on a house about 30 minutes away and should be moving out next month. We plan and hope to visit her at least a couple times a week, but that's not 24/7. I would highly recommend your father-in-law sell his house and get a small home or condo near to you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my son's birthday cake? My 30 female son's 8 male birthday was 2 weeks ago. He wanted a pistachio cake, but nobody in our family likes it. So I agreed with him that the biggest cake that would be at a party would be a chocolate cake, while he would have a pistachio cake saved in the freezer just for him. The party took place in our backyard. The whole family was there, and the kids had a great time. We sang happy birthday to my son and went to cut the cake. While my mother-in-law and husband distributed the cake slices, I took my son inside and cut a big slice of his cake so he could eat it. The cake I bought for him was the size of a bento cake, so it would be enough for a toddler. When we left, my sister-in-law, who's also a mother, looked at my son's plate and saw that his cake was different. She was surprised and asked where this other cake was, because she and her daughter wanted to taste it. I replied saying that I couldn't share, because this cake was just for my son as he doesn't like chocolate. She called me selfish for denying her and her daughter a slice, and after that, she commented to everyone at the party that I had another cake hidden at home. Many people ignored it, but some were curious and asked me why I didn't share the other cake. I explained the situation until they kept calling me selfish. My husband and my mother-in-law told me I didn't do anything wrong as I was resolving a situation with my son. But I'm still in doubt if I'm really right or I was an a-hole. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm honestly having a hard time wrapping my head around adults demanding to eat a child's birthday cake at his own party. I'm absolutely with you on this one. I can't fathom being sulky in this situation. Not the a-hole. Next time, just get a cake your son likes and makes everyone have that cake. Then they can get angry not having a cake they like. And you can say it's your son's birthday and he picked the cake. So go away, you a-holes. Your friends and sister-in-law sounds like pieces of work to demand your son's small birthday cake for himself. Yes, share the cake your kid likes. It will eventually become a tradition and more memorable than a boring chocolate cake. I still remember my wife's uncle busting out this horrible lemon cake that everyone hated after every Easter. It would be the butt of all jokes, but we also all ate it. Lol. Can you imagine being a grown adult and getting angry that you're being denied a second type of cake at a child's birthday? Not the a-hole. If you're really trying to be an entitled person, this is probably the best way to do it. Either that or a narcissist. I have people in my life like this. They have to be involved in everything, no matter what it is. You could be hiding turd sandwiches in the kitchen, but they'd want one just because. Update. My stepdad said he is proud of me and I panicked. Original post. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 12 because dad cheated on my mom with her sister. Mom kicked dad out of the house and requested full custody. He didn't even contest it because he wanted to be with his mistress at that time. I dreaded going to their house on weekends. I didn't recognize the man who was supposed to be my father. He and his mistress were too clingy in front of me. I was 15 when I decided to just stay with mom and visit him once or twice a month. He didn't mind. To him, I do not exist. By then, my mom started to date Jack. He was a single dad of 2 girls who are much younger than I am. They are now 10 and 11. Jack has always tried to bond with me, but I shut him down. He came to all my games and PTA meetings. He was an active member in my life. I didn't want anything to do with him. I didn't mind he was dating my mother, but I just didn't want any relationship beyond that. I am now 18 and graduated high school with the highest honors. I was asked to give a speech, and after the ceremony, my mom and stepsisters came to congratulate me. Then my stepfather came and said, "That was so good. I almost teared up after hearing your speech. I'm so proud of you, son. I'm glad that I have a son like you." I don't know why, but hearing him say he is proud of me just made me shocked. Probably because my own dad never said that to me. He didn't even bother showing up at my graduation ceremony. I just left the premise with the excuse of bathroom, but I was panicking. I also feel guilty for pushing him away when all he ever wanted was be a father in my life. What do I do now? Say thank you? Give him a high five? Write a speech? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Would you feel comfortable in confiding in your mom what you wrote here? Maybe you can ask her for suggestions on how to proceed to form a better relationship with your stepdad. If you're not comfortable with talking to your mom, you can suggest doing something with just your stepdad. Just the two of you. A walk, ice cream, coffee, lunch, etc. Get to know him and let him know what he said to you after your speech meant a lot. That you hope you can continue to make him proud and that you can appreciate him being a part of your life. I'm glad you realize how awesome your stepdad is. Oftentimes, we read how the stepchild hates the stepparent for no reason. When you became older, you will realize that the most important people in your life are those who love, care, value, and respect you, not the ones you have the most fun with. Your stepdad sounds like he truly loves you. Value is love. It's too late to form a relationship. I deliberately chose a college in another state because I just wanted to be alone. Now I regret it. I gave the excuse that school has a better science program. It's never too late to form a relationship. He is still trying with you. You have opened the door into your heart. Walk through it and connect. He and your mom understand you have a wall up because of the rejection by your father. It is okay. You can take a small step and talk with him and tell him how you feel. You will grow a relationship even if you are out of state. I think you've hit the nail on the head here. OP's stepdad knows what issues you have and is still trying and showing you love, despite your rejection to open up to it. Accepting the love in any way, shape, or form will fill stepdad with pride, rather than suddenly stop caring, which I imagine is OP's irrational fear. They're willing to show love and persist when you're not ready, and they will continue to do so after you are. Now for the update. So yesterday was my graduation party. The day after I posted here, I did talk to my stepdad. I said thank you to him and also explained my side of the story that I panicked, because this is the first time I ever heard someone say they're proud of me. He was happy. I further decided to take a step forward to our new relationship. You see, my stepdad has been asking me to teach him how to use TikTok and record in it. He is not really tech savvy. I opened an account for him and showed him how to use it. He wanted to make TikToks with my mom, lol. I even asked him if he can teach me how to ride a bike. I've been eager to learn it. And he said he will go bike shopping right after my party. The party was great, but there was a drama caused by my sperm donor. I didn't want to invite him, but my mom insisted since he is my dad, I should at least send an invitation. I wasn't expecting him to show up, and that man had the audacity to bring his mistress with him. I was angry, but my mom told me to just ignore them. That's what I did. I didn't interact with him. But he somehow managed to corner me and said congratulations. His mistress tried to congratulate me, but I just turned away. Halfway through my party, I was asked to give a speech. I wanted to show my appreciation to my stepdad. That was my speech was about. I thanked my mom and my stepdad for all the hard work they have done, and also appreciated my stepdad for being there for me when I needed a father figure. Needless to say, it angered my sperm donor, and he wanted to know why I never mentioned him. I asked him what my age is. He mumbled and gave excuses. There was a fight between me and him. I exploded on him, that he basically abandoned me and my mom when we needed him. He is a very shameless man parading his mistress in front of mom, knowing this is mom's sister. I do not need his approval for anything. He never played a part in my life, so why should I thank him? The fight was big. My uncle had to step in and kick both of them out. My mom felt guilty because she was just trying to do the right thing. I know she has this eagerness to do what's right, but she can be wrong sometimes. If I'm being honest, I'm glad he came and saw that he has no place in my life. His only child will never speak to him ever again. I'm glad he saw my mom was 100 times happier with my stepdad than she was with him. I'm glad his mistress came and saw none of our family members want to accept them. I enjoyed the rest of the party with my friends and family. My stepdad decided that we would go on a short trip before going to college. I told him I will look for an option to transfer my credit to a closer college so that we can be closer to home. He encouraged me to not do that because the college I chose does have a good science program and good reputation for engineering. Plus, he said I need to leave the nest to learn how to survive in real world and told me to not worry about them. He is just one phone call away. I am super glad. Even though it took me a while, I will cherish the remaining days with my stepdad and siblings. My mom felt guilty because she was just trying to do the right thing. I know she has this eagerness to do what's right, but she can be wrong sometimes. Yep, there was no right thing to do. Hopefully she's learned and she won't be pushing you to, I don't know, invite him for your future wedding or to meet your future kids, etc., etc. I'm glad that apart from that, your mom and your stepdad have been amazing to you. I'm glad that I saw my mom was 100 times happier with my stepdad than she was with him. I'm glad his mistress came and saw none of our family members want to accept them. Best revenge is to live a better life. I bet your dad will dump his mistress because they don't look as good as he thought. I do not blame mom. She wants to do what's good for me. I sent the invitation before the graduation ceremony. I wasn't expecting him to show up. The stepdad sounds like a great guy. I'm glad OP has him in his life. I hope they're able to bond more. I teared up when stepdad told him to stick with his plan of going away to school so he can learn independence. That's damn good parenting. Great advice, and just damn good stepdad. I need to go cry now. Stepdad really seems to understand he came into the life of a kid who had every reason to be wary of him, at a time when the kid was naturally disengaging from parental figures. And allowed a kid his space and not taking the kid's attitude personally. We need more men in the world who have that kind of maturity and awareness. I just tried a post about the sociopathic father/baby. I needed this. Next story. My kids are going on a cruise and I'm upset about it. My ex and I split 8 years ago. We have 2 boys, aged 10 and 12. They live with her 1,200 kilometers from me and they travel to spend school holidays with me. Half of Christmas and Easter, but entirety of every other school holiday. We split because, well, she screwed me over in a bunch of ways. But our relationship had been on the rocks for a while, and it was clear I was the only one trying to salvage it. It's a long, depressing story for another time, perhaps. She married an accountant who, as far as I can tell from what the kids tell me, is a decent enough dude. Pretty wealthy. The kind of guy who takes his wife on holidays around the world 3 times a year. Suits her just fine, as she just schedules their getaways for school holidays, which is fair enough. He is standoffish with me in the limited interactions I've had with him, but I find it hard to blame him as I can only imagine the things his wife has told him about me if the lies she told to family court are any sort of indication. I've rebuilt my life pretty well, and I'm now doing better financially than ever before. My work is demanding, but if I had the time, I'd probably be close to being able to afford a couple of holidays a year myself. Because of this, and the fact that I've racked up an insane number of days off, and also to celebrate some postgraduate accomplishments and business successes, I've started thinking about treating myself and my kids to a holiday away when they're with me. I discussed the subject with my ex and the kids at Christmas just past. She agreed to get them their passports and I'd arrange everything by Easter. To book a cruise for just after next Christmas when I had the boys for 3 weeks. They wanted to go on a cruise, entirely my kids' idea. Well, alright. Bonus is, I have had some dealings with a particular cruise line through my company and could even save some money. Not that it's really an issue. The top picks were New Zealand and Vanuatu. Excellent. Everything is coming together. Until tonight when I have my weekly call and find that my ex and her husband have booked a huge family getaway on a cruise to Vanuatu for Christmas. As in, they'll be at sea during Christmas. And because of that, the schedule for me having the kids is cut short by 3 days because they have to go back to school. Not only do I miss out on spending 3 days with my kids, instead of 3 weeks, it'll be 2 weeks and 3.5 days. It may not seem like much, but every minute is precious as far as I'm concerned. But that's just stolen this whole holiday idea. She knew I was planning it. The kids were in on it and excited to do it with me. And they've just swooped in and stolen my thunder. They've even gone with a different, much flashier and expensive cruise line. And she got the boys to tell me on speakerphone. They were so excited and happy that I couldn't say anything but play along and be enthusiastic for them. It was supposed to be our holiday, my boys and I. But how am I supposed to do it now? Who wants to go on a luxurious cruise for a couple of weeks, then do another one immediately afterwards to the same place but on a less luxurious ship? I feel like they intentionally waited for me to make arrangements, found out what I was planning, and then went out of their way to one-up me in every way. I just want to have a good time with my boys. I don't have any interest in these stupid games. I can't help but notice that my child support payments don't seem to be being spent on new shoes, underwear, or clothes or extracurriculars for the boys too. They used to do soccer and gymnastics, but she's stopped taking them because it cut into her afternoon relaxation time. I'm just gutted and tired. It's not hard to not be a prick. That is genuinely cruel of your ex. Keep your eyes on the prize, your kids. Don't let them deal with their reality. When they're older, they will notice. God bless. Can confirm, they will absolutely notice. Taking the high road now is difficult and painful, but they will eventually be able to figure out your ex is a nasty piece of work. Can you find something else to do? Skiing or a big theme park or just a new city that offers a lot for all of you? Wishing you luck and strength. They may not notice and may take the mother's side when they are adults and not give a damn about OP. OP needs to be the higher person because it's the right thing to do for his kids, and it also increases the likelihood the boys will see the truth one day. But odds are they won't. The mother has shown she's manipulative, and she's by far the primary caregiver. The fact she pulled this stunt is a sign she is for some reason fighting OP for the kids' affection in my opinion. I hope I'm wrong though. As someone who worships my deadbeat mom and all the lies she promised, they will see it. I don't remember much from my childhood, but I remember enough to go no contact with my mother. I'm afraid that is not given. If there is no outright abuse and the alienation is discreet but constant and well done, odds are it will work. People on Reddit like to say that kids will always end up seeing through parental alienation and BS, and all will be well in the end, but that's not always the case, unfortunately. Last story. My husband won't let me parent my stepdaughter while borderline neglecting her. I, 37 female, have been married to my husband, 40 male, for 2.5 years now. He has a daughter, 15 female, with his ex, and they share 50-50 custody. However, he has consistently made bad decisions when it comes to parenting. First of all, she has been raised to be entitled and lazy. If I ask her to do something as simple as setting the table for dinner, feeding the dog, or bringing down her hamper for laundry, she almost always makes up an excuse. Sometimes as simple as, I'm on the phone with my friends or I just don't want to. She helps out with nothing around the house. It truly ticks me off how I have all the responsibilities of being a parent, but his word is still always over mine. I have to cook for her, do her laundry, and take her out to learn to drive. But if I dare say no to her, I'm the bad guy. I said no to her spending the night with her friend on a Friday because she had gotten a 64 on a test earlier that week and needed to study for a retake. My no, overruled. I'm also very often kept in the dark. For example, I will come home from work to find out that she is at a friend's house without any prior knowledge. If she wants to come home from school with a friend, she just texts him, and I have no knowledge until I get home. A couple weeks ago, I came from a client dinner to find out that she was at a concert with friends and one of their parents. This was on a school night, Thursday night, and they did not get home until after midnight. She was obviously tired the next day, and they just planned to allow her to skip school. All of this without my knowledge. The last straw happened yesterday though when I found out that she and 3 friends plus one of their dads were planning to go down to Florida over their spring break. When I found out, my alarm bells immediately went off. How the heck he thought a grown adult taking multiple underage girls to a whole nother state is all fine and dandy and cool is way beyond me. Especially when he barely freaking knows this guy. When I asked if he had done any sort of background check or look into this guy, he said no. But even more insanely, he had not talked to his ex, and he said that he would next week. He justified it by saying that the trip would fall on this week, so it was his decision. At this point, I'm 90% sure I'm done. The only reason I'm staying is to protect our daughter. I'm gonna reach out to her bio mother and see about what the next steps are. Your soon-to-be ex is likely divorced for the same reasons you're going to divorce him. Just know that your child will likely be in the same boat. Proceed with caution. His ex is not your ally. Sometimes it could turn out well and they could have shared interests and complain about a guy. I've seen this. But here, if the daughter is this awful, I would bet the mom is a bum too. Stop doing everything for her and let her have natural consequences. She's old enough to be doing most of these things herself. She won't do her laundry, then she won't have clean clothes. She won't feed a dog, don't get any more pets. Won't help with dinner, then she will have to make her own food. She won't help around the house, don't take her driving. Don't drive her to her friend's house. Who cares if you're the bad guy or look like the bad guy? Lay down the law with your deadbeat husband or leave him. It's very clear he doesn't want you to have a role in parenting his kid, so then don't. Stop worrying about her grades or how she'll get to school. Tell him that. This. If a 15-year-old is deemed mature enough to venture to other states with adult strangers, they are certainly old enough to wash their own clothes and cook their own food. Stop assuming responsibility for things that stepdaughter is able to do for herself. I would go completely hands-off and let her dad deal with it all. Doesn't have dinner? Talk to your dad. Doesn't have clean washing? Washing machine is right there. Doesn't take care of their dog? Speak to them about surrendering pup to a shelter to find a loving home. Doesn't clean up after themselves? Their room is the perfect place to store their dishes, etc., etc. You're not a parent, you're a slave. Let dad deal with all of it. Do not lift a finger to help. When he raises a protest, which he will, speak about divorce. I didn't tell my husband update. Original post. My partner, 31 male, and I, 25 female, are having our second child, and he hasn't been working due to a work injury. So for the last 2 going on 3 months, it's been very stressful for us. My paternal aunt gave me half of what she got from selling my grandma's house, her mother. She inherited it last year due to my grandmother passing away, and she's spent 6 months getting my moochers of a father and brother out of the house and fixing it up. We haven't spoken since the funeral, and last week she called to meet for lunch, and when I went, she handed me a check worth over $200K. I didn't understand, but she said my grandma thought of me as a daughter, and I was the only one other than her that took care of her and my grandpa. And while they didn't have the money to give me, she sold the house and after talking to her husband, decided I deserved half of it. My hormones are everywhere, and she had to help me calm down because we were in so much debt. I felt so thankful. She told me she wasn't giving anything to anyone else and would prefer for me not to tell anyone, so I didn't. I put it in my account, and once it cleared, I began slowly paying off my husband's and my debt. I paid people back that had loaned us money, cleared our credit cards, paid our car off, put $10,000 in our daughter's savings account, and planned to make one for our second child when it's born. I didn't tell my husband because we have separate finances, and have since we got together. He doesn't even know what our debts were or how far behind we were, so I didn't think he would notice. But he watches his credit, and when he says that it went up and that I had received a letter from my community college that my debt was paid, he asked me. I told him my aunt gave me money but not how much, and he tried accessing my bank account. When he couldn't get in, he took my debit card without me knowing and went to an ATM and saw the balance. He yelled at me for hiding it. I told him it doesn't matter because we were no longer in debt and we could finish our degrees. He walked out and hasn't spoken to me in 3 days. I requested a new debit card and changed my information regarding my account because now I don't trust him not to try to buy something. I admit I should have told him, but it's not like he knows how much money I make for my job. I don't know what to do. Edit. Okay, so reading the comments, I need to answer some questions. 1. He doesn't like my family at all. I met him when I was a kid because he was my older brother's best friend. Things changed when we got together when I was 19 and they don't speak anymore. He avoids anything to do with my family. 2. Most of our relationship is great. We agreed to have 1 kid because I dreamed of being a mom. But during the pregnancy, he treated me like crap. And even after our daughter was born, he continuously made me feel like a bad mom for asking him for help when I was exhausted. And he just wanted to play games or drink. He only started helping and being supportive after being separated for a few months and us getting counseling. 3. He and my daughter both have my last name. 4. I wanted joint finances when we got married and he didn't. I was only in debt of $5,000 for my college at a time, and he had some, but he told me he had it covered, which I found out he did not. 5. What I meant about him not knowing how much in debt we were is that he'd open credit cards in both our names and max them out, and then when he couldn't use them anymore, he'd apply for more. I did not know this until hiring a firm to help get my credit up. They told me I could press charges or pay them off. I wanted to pay it off because he's my husband, and even if he'd put us in debt, I do love him. 6. We didn't want more children. He got into a fight with his sister and she did something she shouldn't have, but he also refused to get snipped. We didn't find out I was pregnant until it was too late for another option. 7. We moved in with my mom to help us get things back on track, and he got hurt at work. Yes, I believe he's depressed, but he's also blown all the money he had saved on video games, liquor, and pot. He didn't spend a dime on any of the debt he caused or for our daughter. He makes more than I do, but with the way he spends his money, it's like we live in one income. 8. Do I trust him? Yes, I do in almost every way I can, except for money, and he's proven that again and again. I also have been giving him small portions of the money, so he can still go and do things he wants to do. It's not like I'm just hoarding it away from him. I just didn't tell him that it wasn't for my paychecks like he assumed. 9. He has the PIN to my debit card, because while I didn't tell him about the money, I do let him use it when he needs to. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Girl, those edits. Any man that secretly opens and maxes out credit cards and makes you miserable for having his child is not the partner you deserve to be with. He straight up doesn't respect you and expects you'll continue to be a doormat. That's why he was mad when you didn't tell him about the inheritance, because it was you going against him in a way, by not letting him walk all over you like usual. All this to say, he sounds like an absolute pile of red flags, and I know it's not easy, but please consider getting in solo therapy to help you consider whether this relationship is healthy for you and your kids. This. The original post was bad enough, But the edits paint a picture of a selfish and worthless partner with no consideration for anyone other than himself. And Opie is pregnant because Hubs had a fight with his sister and she did something she shouldn't have done. Did she poke holes in his rubbers? Mess with Opie's birth control? Whatever it was, Opie should run, not walk, away from that crazy. His sister poked holes in his rubbers after they got into an argument. I didn't react well to birth control, and because of my age, a doctor won't make it more permanent. Wait, what? He got in an argument with his sister and she responded by poking holes in your rubbers? I'm pretty sure that is illegal in some way. Surely you're not still in contact with this woman. No, we got contact when we discovered I was pregnant. We told his family and she just laughed and threw it in our faces that she had the upper hand. We haven't spoken to her since we found out 6 months ago. So instead of being thankful for the money helping you both out while he's not working, he's upset? I can see why you didn't tell him. Exactly. What a moocher. And he even has the audacity to throw a temper tantrum. What does he even bring to the relationship when he doesn't work, doesn't take care of the child or the household? It actually acts like another toddler. It took your family such a long time to get rid of 2 moochers, and you invited another one in. Sorry if it's harsh, but that's how it is. And the credit cards? Damn, I don't even have words. I would definitely kick him out at that point, and probably even press charges. Now for the update. If you read my post, thanks for the advice, and even if some of the comments weren't that nice, I'm still thankful. Over the last 3 days, I've spoken to my mom and my in-laws. My husband reached out to her that he didn't want to be with me anymore, but it wasn't because of the money. It was because he felt forced to get married and have a baby. And even though we got pregnant with a second one because of his sister, he still blames me. 6 years together and felt like he refused to talk about it, even when we were in counseling. I asked his mom what he wanted to do, because he wasn't answering my phone calls or messages, and she said she sent him money for a plane ticket so he could go to her. I'm heartbroken that she didn't tell him to try harder for his kids. After all, his dad left him and his siblings, but I can't force him to stay and I have to think about them right now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I spoke to a lawyer my friend used for his divorce yesterday and he's going to help me draw up a divorce plan. He said my husband can go after the money, but he doesn't think he will. I'm filing for full custody and will be asking for a minimum in child support unless he wants to sign his rights over. I'm done being stupid and thinking he would grow up. I packed his things and hired a moving company to take them to his mom's house, so all his stuff will be gone in a few days too. My first clue he didn't want our daughter was that she was not even crying asking where he is. She's just running around with me and my mom. I did send him a little bit of money for his travels and told his mom I'll send the divorce papers as soon as I get them. She just told me okay and hung up. So that's what's been happening the last few days. Haven't spoken to my soon-to-be ex-husband, and I'm now fully on my own since I was 19. I hope everything goes good. Hopefully I don't have to update again. God damn, this woman married garbage. She's rid of him now at least. Beth is only divorcing her now to get access to that money. In our country, you have no right in your spouse's inheritance. Is this different somewhere? In some places, if the money was used as a marital asset, probably such as paying debts for your spouse like Opie did, it can be claimed as such in the divorce. If Opie is an area like that, her husband knows exactly what he's doing. He claims he doesn't want a divorce because of the money, but that's absolutely what it's about. He knows the only way to get his hands in part of it is by leaving her. Well, hopefully she'll read her posts back every once in a while and realize she's making the right decision, because her husband is a giant man-child. When I read that she trusted him before the update, I literally said, yikes. There were so many things wrong. It felt like Opie was the cartoon dog in the everything is on fire panel saying, this is fine. And the narrator voice was like, it was not fine. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband to go to his ex's funeral? Plus update. I'll admit, I'm biased right off the bat. I couldn't stand her. I call her his ex to myself and others while he called her his friend. We're all in our early 40s and she died recently of aneurysm. I've been with him for 10 years now, but had known her for 20 plus. The way he tells it, they were friends in college, decided to date, got married, then realized they weren't a great couple and decided to just be friends. All that happened years before I met him. He was clear early on that she was important. A couple months into dating, it came up that his friend was actually his ex-wife. He explained the above to me, saying she was one of his closest friends and that it was purely platonic. I expressed some discomfort at him being so close to an ex, and he told me that's fine. If you have a serious issue with it, let me know now and save us some time, because I'll choose her. I like you and all, but I've known her for over 12 years, and she's one of the most important people in my life. You'll have to be okay with that if you want us to be a thing. When we were engaged, I asked again. He gave me this perplexed look and asked, why would us getting married affect my friendships? I sucked it up and went along. I resented every moment of knowing her, especially when we had to be social. She understood some part of him I couldn't. Her husband was friends with mine as well, so it's not like I could use him as an angle. He'd have lunch with the ex, they'd go to their geeky movies and whatever. The few times I brought it up, he said, we had this conversation before. You had your chance to back out. She died after they had lunch the other day on the way to her car. He spent a bunch of time crying, but honestly, I was relieved. He was working with her husband on funeral planning. I told him, you don't think you're going, do you? My argument summed up, she's dead, so she's not a factor anymore. He doesn't get to use his she's my friend excuse since she doesn't exist anymore. He had his cry for a couple of days. He gets to be done with mourning her already. There's no need for him to go to her funeral, since I wouldn't want her at his. He was the angriest I've ever seen him when I told him that, replying that he'll be going no matter how I feel, and that he's willing to burn this to the freaking ground while holding up his wedding band. Besides you, she was the closest friend in my life. Him, her husband, and my sisters are calling me an insensitive a-hole over this, all saying that there was no romantic aspect to their relationship, and that I'm heartless. Her husband went as far as calling me a ghoul for how I've reacted. I never felt their relationship was appropriate, and I hid that for years because I wanted to be with my husband. Now that she's gone, I don't feel I should have to hide it anymore, and can speak freely. Am I the a-hole for wanting him to be done with her, and for him to not attend a funeral? Now for the top comments before reading the update. You're the a-hole, and when he divorces you, he probably won't have to explain his friendship with you to the next woman because, seriously, who'd want to stay friends with a woman who had treated you like this? How heartless. You're the a-hole, OP, and congrats on your impending divorce. If she doesn't exist anymore, why are you still so jealous of her? He can't even leave you for her now, so I think it's time you got past it. You're the a-hole. You can speak freely and he can leave after finding out how heartless you actually are. Fair enough. I bet he will leave her over this anyway, even when the ex is dead. 'Cause damn did she prove to be a crappy person. That's the thing though, even if she doesn't exist, that doesn't mean there will be nothing else to worry about. Every anniversary of the death, every birthday of hers that she's no longer here for, etc. Does she expect him to not acknowledge any of that? Because from what it sounds like, he's the type of person who would. Just because she's gone doesn't mean she's gone. Even her death isn't going to be enough for OP. She's going to want him to pretend this person never existed in the first place. And now for the update. We've been together for 10 years, but is choosing to end all of that because of how I reacted to his ex-wife's death. They were friends when we met, and his claim was that they dated and gotten married while they were young and dumb, before realizing they worked better as friends than as a couple. He told me that if I wanted a relationship with him, I needed to accept she'd always be part of his life. He'd do things like go to geeky movies with her, and sometimes her husband, they do their tabletop gaming, all of which I found boring. He and I had a mostly happy marriage, I thought, but I had to deal with her presence and pretending she and her husband were friends. I hated her, and when she died, I was relieved. I didn't want him going to her funeral, saying now that she was out of his life, he was done with her. I was called cold and callous for wanting to put my foot down. Yes, he went to the funeral, which I was very uncomfortable with. I asked him not to go again, and he just gave me this cold, expressionless stare. She was cremated, and my husband was given a little bit of her ashes in a small urn the size of a pill bottle. I told him it was creepy to have them, and he flipped me the bird. The past month plus of my life has been a nightmare because of her dying. My husband has barely talked to me, and I've received texts from nearly all our friends and family calling me a monster. All because someone saw my original post on Reddit and shared it with everyone they could, even people at my job. Many of the posts here were nice in comparison to the things the people I thought were my friends said. I was just out of town for several days on a work trip. Then on Friday, I came home to a partly empty house, with his car gone and a petty-sounding letter saying that we would be getting a divorce. Not that he wanted one, that it was going to happen and he's already filed. He said that my post was one of the most hurtful things he's ever read, and that my jealousy of his friendship was insane. He wrote, "I freaking watched her die. She was walking by my side when it happened. I have nightmares about it." He said I'd be keeping the house, because I don't want to spend every morning waking up to a reminder of the years of lies that was our marriage. He left a list of what he's taking, saying I can keep the rest. His last line was, "If it had been me instead of her, she'd have been there for you in an instant. Remember that." I learned he's staying with her husband because the man sent me a long text telling me to stay away from his home, and he regretted ever letting me into his life. Even my own sister said if she learned I was dating someone, she'd fill him in on what a black-hearted C-word I am. So yeah, my husband is divorcing me because of his first wife's death. She's more important to him, and it seems to our friends, than keeping our marriage together is. She's screwing up my life even from the grave.